Welcome to the Be, Create, Inspire podcast, where we focus on the three pillars of thriving: being an awesome person, creating powerful and exceptional programs, work, and inspiring the world in the process. And today I have the pleasure of bringing David Trotter, who is I'm going to call you a ninja of many trades, but mainly in the publishing world and in the self-development world. So welcome, David.
Thank you, Adi. It's great to be here with you.
Absolutely. David, one of the things that I immediately was, kind of blown away is your lengthy background. Like, you've had such a impactful past. Like, I started, it was like accolades of accomplishments in the not only the publishing world, but also the spirituality, and the religious world. I'd love for you to talk about that a little bit so people can get the full picture of David Trotter.
You're just saying I'm old. That was a nice way of saying I'm old.
Yes.
Yeah. You're like, well, it's just
Yes.
a long history. Yeah. Well, I have been around a little while. I started out as a teenager, trying to find your way in life, of course. And I was super passionate about photography, and I had won some awards for sports photography. My goal was to be a Sports Illustrated photographer. I spent all, high school dedicated to that. I worked as a sports photographer at a local newspaper when I was in high school. And my senior year, I had this spiritual experience at a Christian youth conference where I felt like I was called to be a pastor. And I remember coming home and dropping off, my bags from this trip, to Texas. And my parents were like, well, how was it? And I was like, well, I'm crying. I'm like, I feel like I'm called to be a pastor, And my parents kind of started laughing a bit, and they're like, that's what we had sensed, like, for you. And so I thought, well, that's so interesting, because they never said anything. My dad was a pastor later on in my life. He was a pastor early on in life. Then he worked for the government for a long time, and then kind of transitioned back into ministry. Anyway, long story short, I did choose to go to college to study to be a pastor. I went to seminary, and for over a decade, I was what's called a church planter, really helping start churches here in Southern California. And you start them from scratch. I was a part of a church that really went very big early on. And I started a church and was a pastor. We had multiple locations, a dozen staff. And about 16 years ago, I just hit a wall of burnout. And I was, definitely trying to fill a void of not enoughness, that if I could grow that church big enough, help enough people, then I'd finally be somebody. If I could get that book deal, then I'd finally be somebody, Right. And it just, as we know, it just does not work. And so hit a wall of burnout and transitioned out of full-time ministry and recognized that was not a healthy environment for me personally. It also allowed me to start asking some questions about life and spirituality that I couldn't ask within the kind of the box of the conservative evangelical Christian upbringing that I had. And a lot of those questions, started out actually around LGBTQ inclusion. That was something that I really wrestled with, not necessarily personally, as I identify as straight, but it just felt like, gosh, this doesn't resonate with me, that these people can't participate in this. And so I started to be able to ask questions about that. My career morphed into marketing because I had picked up a lot of those skills in church planting.
In church planting, I was going to say, you got to fill the churches.
Communication, right? Yeah. So much about communication. I mean, when I was a pastor, we had a full-size city bus wrapped with our church logo and a car with a big sound system wrapped, and we're doing all these big events for multiple thousand people. I love putting on events and so forth. But anyway, in the process, I wanted to keep making a difference in the world. I fell into filmmaking because I wanted to draw attention to the issue of orphans in India. A partner and I grabbed a cinematographer. We hung out with a group of orphans living alongside a railway for a couple weeks in India, and had translators. And that film called Mother India, Life Through the Eyes of the Orphan, was on Netflix for 2 years, 2012 to 2014. And I continue to have a lot of connection to India, and I do a lot of humanitarian work there. Did another documentary on sex trafficking in the United States. And then 2 more films after that. I've written a number of books. But the turning point for me began to happen when as I'm asking those questions, I started a podcast specifically for female entrepreneurs because I found a lot of women were interested in the work that I was doing. It's called
Mhm.
Inspiration Rising, did about 250 episodes interviewing people like yourself. But a lot of people started coming on the podcast talking about energy, healing, Reiki,
Right.
tarot, yoga, channeling, mediumship. And Audie, I was like, these people are weird. I mean, these are some weird people.
Oh my God, I love that.
And I would even kind of be playful with them. I'd be like, hey, in my old life, this is satanic. We should not be
Right.
talking about this stuff. And then what it did is it opened my mind and heart up to really begin to see the world and spirituality and the divine in a more, a broader way, a more inclusive
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
And it changed my life. I started to realize this is my tribe. Like these are the people that I connect with. So I fell into the gateway drug of sound baths, right? That
Okay.
is the gateway
Yep.
drug for a lot of people.
Super dangerous. Super
Uh,
dangerous.
and then that leads to meditation and breath work and yoga. And then more recently for me, even channeling. And so, yeah, that's kind of the path that has gotten me here.
So, question, are you still connected to the Christian side of you?
Yeah, that's a great question. I really appreciate my heritage. I really appreciate the path. I see all the things that I did out of love, and I guess I would even say, even as because I talked about kind of filling that void of not enoughness. I
Yeah.
truly believe that all of us have mixed motives in everything that we do. It's very rarely pure. There's always something that's to benefit us or somehow working out our own healing process or whatever. And so, but I see all the good and the love and the transformation that I helped people with. I actually have, I think, a deeper connection to Jesus now than I
Mm,
ever have.
mm.
And I feel like I'm serving people out of a true heart of service now more than ever. Um, because there's still a part of me that is ego based and wants to, be successful and all of that. But that definitely is way lessened through the last 30 years of healing,
Yeah.
and trying to not fill that void. The connection with Jesus, though, has come, interestingly enough, through some channeling classes that I've been involved with.
Wow.
So I'm happy to. Do you want me to share a little bit about that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Because I'm all about the Jesus right now. Like I yoga, love, and everything. And I also had a like reconnection that's very different to my like Catholic school upbringing. So
Mhm.
I would love to hear this.
Okay, so my partner Mandy, who owns a breathwork and meditation studio here in Southern California, it's called Behind the Lids. We offer. She had a medium come in, and I had never even seen a medium before. I just knew this was satanic. I should not be involved in this. And this woman is so amazing. She is calling out people's names, death dates, birth dates. I mean, the gasp in the room is unbelievable. She's an amazing woman. Her name is Mona Dobbelker. She's been featured in our magazine. And I did two different 12-week classes with her on mediumship. And I started having some of these experiences. And then Mandy suggested, I really think channeling is more of the direction for you. You have
Huh.
this connection with the divine in some way. So we did a 10-week channeling class in Los Angeles with a woman named Sean Randall, who was the teacher of Bashar when he was getting started in channeling.
Okay.
And in the process, she introduces the whole concept of channeling for her is that you meet your unseen friends, that you have friends that are unseen in the spiritual dimension, that their sole purpose is to connect with you and give you unconditional love. I thought channeling was like, hear ye, I've got a message
Right,
from
right.
God, right? She's like, no. Maybe someday that might be the case. But the point is, you get connected with unseen friends who have been wanting to get in touch with you,
What?
and they just provide you with pure unconditional love. So I went through her process. I had two unseen friends show up during these meditation processes, no medicine. One, it just sounds so ridiculous to say. I'm feeling more comfortable saying it, but it is this little elf character named Elvin
Okay.
and this large being named Archon, and they are showing up to me in meditation regularly. And you learn a technique called ask, listen, and write. You
Okay.
ask your unseen friends a question, you listen, you write. I don't like to write with my hand. I'm on the computer all the time. I literally went down to Newport Beach in my truck with my laptop. I drop into meditation. I play the same song over and over. Archon and Elvin show up and they talk to me. And I just type, 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 type. I have 100 pages of typed messages from them flowing
What?
through me, all very personal, new information, transformational. I continued this process for months and months and months over the course of the last year. And all of a sudden, in my meditations, they start bringing Jesus. I,
Like homie Jesus?
like
Jesus Jesus?
Jesus, not Jesus. Nope, actually, like the Jesus that I grew up with, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and I'm going. I don't want him here. This feels uncomfortable. I do. I just feel like I've got a complicated relationship with Jesus. I know
Right.
a lot about Jesus. I've preached about Jesus for 10 years. I've got all these things about. For some reason, Jesus feels so much more moralistic, right,
Mm,
wrongs, goods, and bads, rather than. And I got to spend my quiet time in order to get connected, and I got to do the right thing, and I got all this shame about past decisions that I made. And they're like, oh, Jesus keeps showing up, and all of a sudden, Jesus starts telling me it's now my time to connect with you. Elvin and Archon did they had their say, and now it's time for me to connect with you. And so I, I regularly connect with Jesus now in these times of meditation, and it's
wow.
very personal. It's very powerful, and I feel more connected. You know, as a Christian, we would say, "Are you talking to Jesus? Are you listening to Jesus?" Well, so much of that was about, "Are you reading the Bible?" And
Mm,
it's got to be like you got to read the Bible in order to hear from Jesus. But I
right.
grew up in a little bit more of a Pentecostal charismatic background where there was a belief that God actually spoke to you.
Okay.
So I will tell you that I have a more vibrant spirituality than ever in my life. And there were things that I longed for when I was 18 in college to hear from God, to speak messages from the divine to other people that's
Yeah.
happening through my life right now that I dreamed of. I know this is a long story.
It's okay.
I'm gonna take you one level deeper.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, please, because now I'm hooked.
So a number of years ago, I had a client that I was coaching, business client. She's a doctor of Eastern medicine and acupuncturist. And she said, I've been going to these medicine journeys. I'm like, what's a medicine journey? She's like, well, you take these mushrooms, it's chocolate, da da da. I'm like, this sounds like drugs. I have never tried drugs in my entire life. I've never smoked. I've never,
Right.
like, I just, straight and narrow guy,
Yeah.
right? Compliant child. This is drugs. You might want to try it because of she tells me her experience. So I go and I try it. I have drugs with strangers in LA. And I know it's not drugs, it's medicine. I'm being sacrilegious in the spiritual world. It's drugs. I have a profound experience. My great grandfather comes to me. I've had probably only, half, 6, 7, 8 times of this. It's a wonderful, powerful experience. 2 months ago, I go to one of these experiences with a group of people, and in the middle, and before I went, Audie, Elvin and Archon said, you will experience pure love and your deep, just your most, just power. Power is the way they described it. Love and power. All right. So I'm laying there, and one of the facilitators who I know comes over and he blows this like smoke over the top of me. As it happens, I pop up. This is the middle of like a beautiful, peaceful, candle lit living room. Everybody's having their like tranquil
Right. Like,
experience. Now, I have, when I was 17 or 18, I started what was called in the Christian world speaking in tongues,
okay. Mhm.
a light language, right? When I was reintroduced to the spiritual world a number of years ago, I heard some people doing this and I thought, whoa, I've done this my whole life. I didn't know this is amazing. Holy cow. So I shouldn't say holy cow. I go to India with my friends in India. I say holy cow. They're like, Dave,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can't say
yeah.
that. That's sacrilegious. Like, please don't say holy cow. So I pop up. I'm under the medicine. I'm speaking this light language so loud, Audie, un, uncontrollably, involuntarily. It's just coming out of me with force. It's so loud. And I lay back down and I look at Mandy and I go, did I just say something? She's like, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. She's like, it's okay. Just lay down, lay down. And then all of a sudden, my face starts contorting. All right. It's like, and my head cranks to the right. And I can feel my tongue moving inside my mouth. And I'm recognizing here is coming, there are messages that are about ready to come through, and I can't stop it. And I'm thinking, this is so embarrassing. This is so embarrassing. These people are having like a quiet, like this is, and Adi, I pop up, I say the person's name who was in the room, and a message starts coming through me involuntarily that I cannot stop in a completely different voice. And I channeled for over an hour for every
What?
single person in the room in a completely different voice. And each time the message, I could feel the message come through me. It was like power just rushing. And it was the most powerful thing. It was the most dramatic spiritual experience I have ever had in my life.
Wow.
And this past week, Mandy and I wanted to kind of test it again. And so we had our own experience here at our home. And after I had my own transformational experiences, I don't even know if I should be talking about this. You're the first person I've ever told this publicly.
Oh,
I mean, I've to tell friends, this is
well,
crazy.
now you're going to tell it to thousands of people.
This is nuts. Adi, I'm going through my own personal experience, right? Healing, transformation, having things, talking about my dad, mom, previous, my kids, all this stuff. Once again, my head starts contorting, my face starts contorting, my body is clenching up, my legs go like lock in place. And I look at her, I go, oh my God, these messages are coming again. And she's having her little quiet experience.
Right. You're like, here I go again.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. It's okay. It's okay. She's like, yeah. And I had a message for her daughter who's like 25. And Adi, what happens, my voice completely changes. It becomes, and this rush of power, it's like a bomb going off inside of me. Boom. And the message comes, and the light language is flowing so fast. And then the message in English, and I had the awareness, because I was testing this, I had my phone ready and I recorded all of it, because I wanted to have it for myself and for these people. And so I'm now just kind of unpacking this and trying to figure out, like, what does this mean? Why is this flowing through me?
Yeah.
I'm in the middle of it.
That's so interesting. And you know what like comes up to me is that first of all, we're so guided by source, right? And I remember I was pregnant and I was freaking out that, I was going to have this baby, and like my whole, cause I'm very, I don't know, high achiever, like, straight A student, the whole shebang, cum laude. And I was like, oh my God, how am I going to have this? Like, I'm going to be a mom. And then like my business, like I had just, I launched my coaching business maybe 3 years before my baby was born. So it's new. And I remember going to this spiritual advisor and I was like, I'm going to lose control of everything. He's like, we have no control of anything. Like zero, right? You don't know if like that client that said yes is going to say no. Like we have control of nothing. And we are guided by source.
Yes.
And what I'm hearing when you say this is that like there is a life path for you that you weren't aware of, but you're being not just guided to it, thrown into it. And that's so beautiful when you can actually sit and experience, like what you're doing is you're creating the space to listen, right? And to experience, because if you just stay doing the busy stuff, right? This is kind of where we talk about the being, right? If we stay in, if we stay into the busy stuff, then we don't give space for some of these like profound experiences and shifts and changes. So, it's a testament to you doing the not what's it called, like logical stuff, because right, you're like, let me be open to mediumship.
It's completely illogical. Yeah, this
Completely illogical, especially from your background and everything.
I love one of the things you said about the being control or out of control. Um, at one point in this experience a couple days ago, I'm in this voice, and I mean this voice, but I'm verbally processing my experience, and I wish I could play it for you. Maybe I'll play it for you off the air. I'm saying in this crazy voice, I hate this. I don't want to do this channeling. I don't like this because
Mm,
whatever the messages are that are coming through, I don't know what they're going to say before they say them. And so, and I'm saying it this crazy, I just, because I feel out of control. I want to edit it. It may not be appropriate. It may not be, because
right.
some of the messages that were coming through about some of these people, there was like a little bit of there was a little confrontation in like one
Mm,
little, like a little issue. And what I found was that as it's flowing through me, I'm pointing out an issue that they may want to address, but it is pure love. I mean, I can feel the pure love, and whatever is being addressed, there is zero judgment at all. It's like, oh, this is a little thing you may want to think about, right? It's just so weird. It's just a crazy experience, but it is out of control. And yeah,
and
it's,
that's fine.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
totally cool that it's out of control. Because I mean, I know when I'm in my most inspired state is when
Mhm.
there's right. There's no rigidity. There's, if anything, there's flexibility. There's quiet. There's, or chatter. And that's the
Mhm.
whole point of, the meditation that we do, right? It's like
Yes.
that chitta vritta. It's like the noise of your
Mhm.
mind. If there's so much noise, how do you create that space for that inspiration? That's why sometimes we say, "Oh, I had that great idea during meditation. Oh, I had that great idea during a shower," is because you're not in
Space.
the hamster wheel or the gerbil wheel,
Yeah.
whatever
Yeah.
whatever rodent is running. Um, so so what are you going to do with all this? Like, are you using it simply as a experience? Because I know, like, a lot of your magazine, right? Like, you you really focus on bringing in, like, you had a woman I saw, who's like, her husband was the head of the reptilian organization. Like, you bring a lot of these type of guests into your magazine. I would love to start talking about your magazine in a moment. Awakened Life, correct?
Awaken magazine.
Awakened magazine. I apologize.
Yeah.
Um, so you're bringing on all these people, and now you're having these experience. I mean, obviously, there's a connection uh, to everything. So, yeah, are you going to do anything with this mediumship and with these downloads that you're getting?
Yeah. So a friend and I already channel for somebody. Like, we have a time slot once a week where we have
Okay.
someone here in Southern California comes to us and we channel for them.
Okay.
And it is a powerful experience, but I'm recognizing there's something about the medicine that's unlocking. It is out of this world, like crazy. So Mandy and I have talked about, um, kind of just exploring it, learning from it, doing it again, but coming with some questions, even asking, what
Mm,
is this? What's the purpose of this? How could this benefit others? I'm all
yeah.
about the very first thing when it happened, I was like, whoa, this is crazy. Then when it happened again this past week, how can I utilize this to benefit others?
Yeah.
How could this help others? But Mandy was like, you cannot go to any more group medicine journeys because you'll ruin it. Like,
Mm,
it's just, Adi, it's so loud,
yeah.
so
Yeah. Yeah.
big, so demonstrative, so powerful. Like, just it's just not appropriate for like showing up to
Yeah.
somebody's nice little settings. So I don't know. We're learning from it. Got to see how it unfolds. It feels like I didn't. It was in the middle of it. I was like, I must have asked for this at some point. And I did. When I was young, when I was 18, I had this strong desire. I saw some people in the Christian world that were able to give messages that were life-changing, but different than this.
Yeah.
So, it's something for me to dig in and steward. But as you mentioned, our magazine, we do feature people that come from a wide cross section. We have people that are yoga teachers and somatic healers and somatic coaches and authors. I like to just call them conscious leaders, healers,
Love it.
coaches.
Love
And
it.
some of those are on a continuum of people who are, channeling galactic entities and having these, kind of wacky, crazy experiences. And then people that are, kind of more just like life coaches and
Like me,
motivational
regular
speakers.
Jane.
Yeah, yeah, and I love that, right? Because and the reason why I started Awaken magazine is because I started meeting so many people like yourself,
Mm,
and people really that had even much smaller platforms than you do,
yeah.
that are just getting started and saying, man, I want to bring my modality, my heart, my transformation to the world. And in my mind, I thought, okay, if I can help these people boost their credibility and increase their visibility, then
Yeah.
they'll be able to reach more people with that love, transformation, healing, and awakening. And if I can do that for hundreds or thousands of people, just shining a light on their work, amplifying their voice, that lights me up. That gets me so excited.
Well, the perfect segue then to talk a little bit about, the both sides of the coin in terms of visibility and publishing, because a lot of our listeners, they're business owners, small business owners just getting started, and this whole world of like visibility is, I don't know, foreign. I get it. Like there's days that I grab my phone to do an Instagram and I'm like, do I really have to do this? like,
Right.
like isn't going to the networking event enough, and connecting on people on LinkedIn, like do I really have to do this? And then I'm like, well, it's my job, right? It's literally part of my job description as a marketer, like,
Yeah.
because if you don't have a marketing company doing these things for you, then who's going to do it for you?
Right.
So talk to me a little bit about the Awaken magazine. You, let's say, you feature me, like we did. We had a awesome podcast recording last week, and you're coming to the expo. You're going to be one of our presenters. We're doing live podcasting at the expo. What are some benefits of somebody, coming on a podcast and speaking? Like, how do people even get on your podcast? How do they get on your magazine? I know that there's obviously a fee that you charge, and like, why would I pay that fee? How is that going to bring me business?
Yeah. Yeah. I want to start by one foundational assumption that I come to the table with, that I want to make sure that people are reminded of,
Yeah.
is that what you are doing in this world, whatever it is, whether you're a life coach, yoga teacher, a medium, a channel, a motivational, whatever it might be, the presenting assumption that I want to tease to the forefront here of our conversation is that our world desperately needs what you have to offer.
Thank you.
It desperately needs what you have to offer. And so if our world needs what you have, because you're a conduit, you're a channel, you're a messenger of love, light, transformation, awakening, healing. And so if that's the case, then how do you get your message out?
Yeah.
How do you get it out? Because you can just wait for people to come to you, and maybe miraculously people will show up on your
Maybe
doorstep. But
miraculously, yes.
for
Usually don't.
most people, that does not happen.
Right.
For most people, you have to open the door and say, here I am.
Yeah.
And here's what I offer. And so it may feel awkward to do that, but the assumption is that what you have to offer is desperately needed by our world. So that's the assumption I come to the table with. Now, how do you get people's attention? And how do you do it in alignment with your values? Because you can get attention a lot of different ways. And so I would say then it makes it worth it to put the effort in time, money, investment of resources in order to get that attention.
Yeah.
So the way that we have structured Awaken Magazine, most publications, there has to be some sort of sustainability. And most publications do that through advertising.
Right.
They just go after advertising and spend all of their time, energy, and money going after advertising and then getting the eyeballs to see the advertising. For us, we chose a different path, which a lot of publications do, is to create branded content.
Mm-hmm.
And so that means that we invite people, we call them executive contributors, in order to share their message. They join one of our membership opportunities. And our memberships are 12 months because we want to work with people over a protracted period of time to help them boost their credibility and amplify their voice and really brand themselves as a leader in the industry.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so we won't work with just anybody. I won't work with just someone who wants to be an influencer, or they've got to be making a difference in a practical way in people's lives and, doing something.
Okay.
And we come alongside them and work them and highlight them in different ways. And, yeah, I'm just super passionate about that. And you can do it through non-branded content ways by just, choosing to get on other podcasts and writing
Mhm.
articles and submitting. And you just got to figure out what path resonates most with you.
Yeah.
But the people that work with me and our team recognize my heart is to help them in any possible way that I can by amplifying them, cheering them on, helping them. We are not a direct marketing response agency, meaning
Okay.
people should not, and you should not assume this about any podcast or any publishing opportunity. Sometimes people think, oh, if I could just get an article in X magazine or X website, or if I could just get on that podcast, then that'll be the breakthrough that I need. And rarely does that happen.
Yeah.
It's a building one
Yeah.
thing after another. So, yeah, it's just being aware that if you're wanting direct response, Facebook ads and Instagram
Yeah.
ads, that is the way to go.
That's the way
And
to go.
we
Absolutely.
utilize that strategy all the time. We have tons of Facebook ads and Instagram ads going all the time, but that's a different strategy. Our path it's about branding, it's about influence, it's about building relationships, it's about building long-term foundation to your brand and what you're trying to get out there in terms of your message.
Yeah. And guys, let me tell you, it really helps when you start building up that logo bar of as seen in, because then it adds that credibility factor. So if you're as seen in Awaken magazine, as seen in medium.com, as seen in, Thrive, it helps. People want to work with people who've done their due diligence in putting themselves out there. This is why we publish books as experts, right? Like you're a multiple book author, multiple author. Did I say that right? Multiple book
Author of multiple books.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think in Spanish and words come out jumbled, but as am I, and I do my due diligence to make sure that I have the next thing coming up that's going to solidify my positioning in the industry as a thought leader. Because guess what happens? You get referred. Hey Ari,
Yes.
like that's how I became the marketing director of TEDx Miami. One of my old yoga students nominated me for this position, and I got it. And I was like, who? Me? The marketing director for TEDx Miami, like the largest TEDx in South Florida. I get to do that? I guess I'm doing my work, putting out, posts, writing articles, like all those things that solidify your positioning. I love that. And you talked about branded content. Can you explain that like one level deeper in case people don't know the difference between content and branded content?
Yeah, usually that word branded content is utilized to signal that it is something that was there was an investment behind it. So oftentimes you'll see people who say, I'm featured in Entrepreneur Magazine
Yeah.
or I'm featured in Fortune. They paid for that. There's an investment behind that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And there are people that, so essentially what you're doing when you do that, you're aligning with a brand,
Hmm.
and then you're receiving some of the credibility from that brand.
Exactly.
So one of the reasons why I started Awaken magazine is I saw other digital magazines in the marketplace that had the same business model in terms of sustainability, creating branded content, but I did not feel like they would represent someone like yourself as well as you could. A lot of these digital magazines that are out there look either super simple or they're kind of hokey. And so, I mean, bottom line, they look like your Aunt Margaret made them. I mean, so like, I just was like, if I'm going to help you boost your credibility and increase your visibility, it's got to be beautiful,
Yeah.
professional, creative, engaging. And so we do our very best to create these beautiful magazine covers and wonderful content. We have a very unique layout on our website. It looks great on both mobile and tablet and web and desktop. So that's very important to us because I've got to help you look great. Like that's the whole point. And SEO is very important to us as well because I want, if people Google your name, I want an Awaken magazine link on that first page of Amazon. So that's our goal for every executive contributor, because before somebody works with you, they're probably going to Google you just to see what's up. And especially if you're thinking about getting on a podcast, they're definitely going to Google you and see. And if they see that you've been featured in Awaken magazine, it's just one more little boost of credibility, right? That they go, oh, they've been featured in a magazine. Like this helps them out. So SEO is very important for us as well.
I love it. And it's funny because I talked about this the other day on my Instagram, and I typed my name in Google, and I was like, look how many pages of Google I own.
Yeah.
Right?
You also
pictures,
have
videos. Name. I do.
Good thing it's not Jane Smith.
Yeah, this is true. But even like the name of the business. So one of the things that I love to talk about is like filling your funnel. Right? How do we fill our funnel? And the top layer, which is the biggest one, is the visibility.
Yes.
So I love that you do this, that you have this not only, service for people, but that you're so invested in their success at the end of the day, because most people who come onto podcasts or, are featured in magazines, like they don't have the like 12 articles that you can submit. Like that's a lot. So it's really amazing because it does give you, here's the thing, right, guys, like content is king. Content is king. Content aids visibility. Content supports your like marketing calendar. So let's say that part of your day to day, let's say on a Monday, whatever you schedule on a Sunday, you're like, okay, this is the theme for the week, the theme for the month, and this is what we're gonna offer, right? Let's say it's a new program, let's say it's a retreat, let's say it's an event, whatever it is that you are wanting to monetize. Boom, you're in alignment with David. You have your own visibility strategies on social media, TikTok, Instagram, the whole shebang, and you start with this article. This article can be then utilized for your email marketing, because why not share the piece of content to the magazine? Again, credibility, right? I write for a magazine.
We call it your monthly column. Say it's your monthly column in Awaken magazine.
Yeah. Exactly. You see, so like now it gives you fuel, because I know a lot of the times as a, professional, you're not looking at things from that lens of content. And this facilitates your planning, your execution. Now you have an opportunity to have also deadlines. So I worked in magazines for a long time as a graphic designer. I was like, I had my own magazine when I lived in Spain that I was in charge of at the publishing company. And I had my deadlines. I'm like, it was a magazine for theaters, but I needed my contributors to have their articles in, their artwork, everything by a certain time. So deadlines also create pressure, which create checks on your to-do list. And those are the best because you know that you've now contributed. Your name is going to get put out there. I'm guessing that the process that you guys do, maybe walk me through it. So I submit my article, you upload it into the monthly magazine, and then you share that with Instagram, the YouTube, right? For the podcast, the video, email, anything else.
I can walk you through it real quick. Essentially, we offer 12-month memberships, and there's a couple different levels. Our more premium opportunity is the opportunity to be on the podcast, which includes being on the front cover of the magazine. We have one particular executive contributor that we highlight as the cover of the magazine every week. And so they're on the front of the website, and then it's connected. That page has the audio on Spotify. It has the video on YouTube. It has a transcript that's been edited for readability, and it has lifestyle images of them interwoven into the article. Beautiful. And the article then has all of these links back to their website or their social media. All of our links are what are called do follow links. So in the SEO world, you can, like a publisher, we can designate a link as either do follow or no follow. So when the Google search bot comes through, a lot of publishers designate that link as a no follow link so that Google search bot stays on their website. All of our
Mm.
links are do follow links. So the Google search bot comes through, hits that link, goes to your website, and continues indexing your pages. So it's a huge value to have do follow backlinks from any
Yeah.
publisher. So that's that article from our executive contributor of the week is the lead article in our email that goes out to our subscribers on Monday morning. We send our email out through a platform called Substack.
Yep.
There is a swing in the world from short form media to long form. Some people are leaving Instagram because they're sick of this doom scrolling and
Yep.
ads and so forth and going to Medium and Substack. So
Yep.
we think that we're actually in a perfect timing to launch this because people want to dig deep into
Yeah.
content and not just have, I think we'll always have short form and always have long form.
Yeah.
We send it
The
out through Substack. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, I was going to say about there's a news statistic that about 50% of leads are coming through long form content.
There you go. Yeah. So we feel like we're on in the middle of that pendulum swing of helping people with that. So right now, our subscribers, we launched back in July, and I think we've got 15,500 subscribers to the magazine right now. So it's
Amazing.
not huge, but it's like growing pretty rapidly. It's getting a pretty good traction. Out of everything I've ever done in my life, Audie, this has gotten the most traction, which
Oh
is
my
just
God, I
crazy.
love it. Well,
Yeah.
I'm so excited to be part of this growth.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And,
at the end of, and look how funny, right? Like I feel like a lot of us are always complaining about the lack of attention, right? And that's why these like 7 second short form, hey, 7 second reels are going to get you there faster. Um, but are they going to like get you where faster? To me,
mhm.
right? I much rather invest my time and energy into this long form content, creating, like you're on my podcast, I was on your podcast, adding this to YouTube and creating these opportunities for people to connect with you.
Yes.
Because how are you really going to connect with me from a 7 second, like
It's
I did
tough.
this like little dance
Yeah.
and there's like words on my screen reel?
Yeah. It's tough.
You got to experience. This is why still like doing the webinars and doing the challenges, like all this stuff works because we are getting a time not just for people to connect with you as an expert, but you to connect with the
Mhm.
people that are joining you, to ask the
Mhm.
questions, to really inquire, right, about their problems, their needs, because maybe or maybe not you might not be the solution, but why not? Why not be the solution to somebody's needs? If somebody's, looking for mediumship and you didn't tell anybody that you were, doing this work, then nobody, like you said in the beginning, nobody could benefit from your support.
Right. Right. And that ultimately, um, the thing that I also would remind our listeners today is that it can feel overwhelming in the whole process of creating this content. I get it. You did not get into this to create content. You got into this in order to help people, right?
Right. Exactly.
But the shift that oftentimes happens to us is we shift from a place of service to a place of performance. And we
Mm,
feel like we have to perform in order to get attention or do it just the right way. And then when we shift to performance, it increases the stress and moves us toward perfectionism and
yeah.
also comparison. So, what I'm constantly encouraging our executive contributors and my coaching clients is if we keep our focus on service, that I got here to help people, then when you are in front of people, the stress and anxiety decreases because okay, I did the best I could in terms of preparing. I'm here in a place of service. Mandy and I were just leading a group of people on a Maui retreat for 4 or 5 days a couple weeks ago. And we were on the beach and we were having this drum circle and we were talking about all these things. And I could just feel, I was like, I could be nervous about what I'm doing. Is this enough? Is this okay? But I wasn't because I'm here to serve.
Yeah.
I'm here to help. And so, anyway, big shift. If you feel yourself anxious, nervous, stressed, you're probably in a place of performance, trying to feel like I've got to do this the right way. Is this enough? But when you then shift back to service and go, I'm here for this person, I'm here for these people,
Yeah.
stress goes away.
Stress goes away. I love it. And I'm going to ask you one last uh, support. What makes a killer article? if you could give us like 3 or 4 tips that you're like, oh my gosh, like make sure to do this, this, and this, because then you're going to have like readability, not just readability, like that's, you have plugins for that kind of stuff, but like content, like what do people like to consume? What have you seen from your data that you're like, oh, these types of articles are like gold?
Yeah. So number one, you start with either a problem that your target audience has. So you got to know who's your target audience. And so number one, who's your target audience? What's their problem
Mhm.
or what's their goal? Either a problem or goal. So you're thinking,
Yeah.
okay, who's my target audience? So let's just say my target audience is women who are, 40-ish, who are in the middle of a life transition. Okay,
Beautiful.
great. What's a problem that they might have? Well, it could be about a change of an identity because their kids are going off to college. Maybe they're having to reacquaint themselves with their spouse. They're trying to figure out maybe a job transition. Okay, so it's an identity issue. So that's a problem. So now that you have that problem, what is a solution that you could offer to
Mhm.
that problem based on the modalities that you offer?
Right, of course.
It can't be just some random solution. It's got to be always connected to the modalities that you offer. So if you're a Reiki healer, how does it connect to Reiki? If it's connected to life coaching, if it's about if it's whatever it might be,
Yeah.
right? Or maybe it's connected to a book that you wrote. So now you've got the target audience, you've got the problem or the goal. You address what is your solution, and then write something that unpacks practically something that would help them. So catchy headline, of course, that's connected to that problem and or solution. An introductory question and or story that grabs their attention
Hmm.
and then leads them to help them that you understand their problem and that you're applying some sort of practical solution. And then last but not least, some sort of action. We always leave every article on our site has a little headline that says take action. And it's somehow that you're inviting that person to either connect to a free lead magnet, a free consultation call, check out your book, whatever it might be.
Okay, I love that. So, what I hear now, like this is me putting my marketing hat on, is that one, yes, write a killer article, right? Do that, do your due diligence about your foundational work. And then two is have your systems in place to gather leads. Because if
Mhm.
we don't have that lead magnet, right? This is what I do with my clients. I help them like set up their funnels and all this stuff, all the automations. I have my software Arise and everything, but um, have a catch, have your net to catch people.
Yes.
Because if not, your article is where are you going to send them to?
That's right.
Instagram, maybe. If your website isn't set up for lead captions, like remember the game of the game is prospecting, turning them to leads, and hopefully turning them into clients. But if you don't have a
Yes.
net, you don't have a system that's catching things, then you're literally not uh, not getting the results that you might be able to get. So I love that you said that take action and then click
Yes.
on that link. Even
Yes.
if it's a book, right? That book gives you credibility. And
Right.
in the book, do you have a way to capture somebody's lead?
Yeah. 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 And everything needs to be in alignment in terms of the
Yeah.
problem, the solution, your target audience, the problem, the solution, and then the lead magnet. So hopefully the lead magnet is clearly connected to somehow that problem or solution.
Yeah.
It's, part of it.
And guys, like lead magnets, I teach you how to make lead magnets in an hour. I actually have a freebie called 25 lead magnet ideas that I'll post
What's the
here.
URL? Come on, let's get the URL.
I'll drop it in the show notes. But yeah, the this is super valuable. I love how our conversation went from Jesus speaking in tongues to practical information. This is what we're about at Be Create Inspire. We have cool people coming on, sharing their stories, but also giving you guys practical information. And before we close, I'm going to say if you are interested in participating in Awaken magazine, please reach out to David. We'll put all the links below, and see if this is a right fit. Because I know every time I've invested in publishing, like I've been featured in like Medium, in Thrive from Ariana Huffington. Like I've been featured in a lot of things that I've paid for to a PR agency. Um, but they were like mentions, right?